You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, presented by the Only One Media Group. This is the people's choice for quality interviews, celebrities, and special guests. Hosted by demetrius-reynolds. Call in to join the mix at 701-801-9813. For the complete archive of episodes, visit onlyonemediagroup.com and be sure to like us on Facebook at Vigilantes Radio. We welcome all. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host,
What's up, guys? Welcome to another incredible episode of Vigilantes Radio Live right here on iHeartRadio, and I am your host, Deanie. We have a very special guest for you guys, but I do have to mention that this particular episode is pre-recorded, and I can't wait to deliver it to your inboxes. And for you guys who subscribe to the show, you'll be the first to know, and I always appreciate that as well. Before I bring my guest on, I do want to say that you have to go beyond fear. Perhaps the most daunting thing about fear is its unknown component. When you've never actually experienced the thing in which you fear, you can easily imagine it to be much worse than it really is. Like my kids, for instance, they're afraid of monsters in the dark, but I always ask them, have you ever seen a monster in real life? No, sir. Well, there you go. Once you experience whatever you fear, the fear quickly starts to lose its grip on you. Once you've been through it, you've come out in good shape. What reason is there to hold on to the fear? Certainly, there are many dangers in the world and many things to be feared, but fears can often be wildly exaggerated, and the fear itself can be much more than whatever is feared. Fear can heighten your senses and focus your awareness, as it can be extremely helpful in preparing you to face difficult situations. If you let your fears hold you back, then all of that preparation is of no use to you. Listen to your fears, then look beyond them and see yourself going through whatever you fear. Your fears help to prepare you, and your courage to make use of them rather than hide from them will move you forward. Take that from me, Coach Deanie. That is my word, and word is bond.
Access, a minority-run nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting survivors of domestic violence and sexual abuse. Our prevention division educates the public on healthy relationships, consent, and boundaries, while our recovery division provides support and resources after trauma. We offer workshops and coaching to individuals worldwide, helping them navigate complex issues and reclaim their power. We believe in the power of education and conversation. Our interdisciplinary approach challenges societal norms and empowers individuals to live authentically and purposefully. With the guidance of our accredited coaches, you can overcome obstacles, achieve your goals, and create the future you desire. Don't wait to take control of your life and your sexuality. Visit our website, Sex.org, to learn more about our services and how you can get involved.
Hello again. Welcome to the show. You're listening to VRL. That's Vigilantes Radio Live right here on iHeartRadio. And I am your host, Deanie. Our interviews are designed to go beyond music, news, books, art, acting, films, technology, education, entrepreneurship, entertainment, and sometimes even past that thing that we call the ego. Our interviews are designed to go behind the scenes and into the minds of these incredible human beings. You know, the ones who are out there giving it their all for me, for you, and for the world. Well, be prepared to be inspired by the extraordinary journey of StephanieVHarvey, a visionary whose life reads like an epic saga of triumph, transformation, and transcendence. From the glamour of interior design for the elite to the grit of general contracting, and now to the grace of guiding others through their own rebirths, Stephanie's story is a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. Her latest endeavor, New Beginnings by Design, is not just a series, it's a movement towards holistic well-being and purposeful living. Get ready to dive deep into the heart and mind of a woman who redesigned lives, including her own, with courage, creativity, and an unyielding commitment to growth. And with that, let's welcome Stephanie to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. And, this here is a movement. It's not just a New Beginning series, and it's something that is very intentional, and it's something that's very deliberate on my part.
Can you share with us the pivotal moment that led you to shift your focus from external designs to the internal landscapes of people's lives?
Yes, well, it was over a progressive type of period. As I talk about in the book and as well as the modules, that in 2003, I went through a devastation called divorce. Like so many people, there are so many different things in our lives that can cause devastation, whether it's emotional, psychological, financial, or physical. And I'm a woman that went from living in a 14,000 square foot home, 7 acres, celebrities all around me, and I decided to have my freedom. And when I wanted my freedom, someone tried to destroy me. I went from living in that mansion to sleeping on a floor in a house with no heat for months. Through that, I would sleep in a sleeping bag zipped up and sit in my car in the day for heat. After a couple of nights, one night I was on the floor and there was a haze. I thought it was just cold air because there was no heat. The next morning I woke up and I saw I had a piece of paper on the floor and the words were New Beginning. It was my handwriting. I never remembered writing a thing. It got to a point that this happened for 49 nights. And God brought me 7 sets of 7. Didn't understand, just one word. And on that last night, it said by design. I still didn't know what it was. Over time, I started putting it together. My history, I was an interior designer. I was a celebrity interior designer, being flown all over, athletes, people in the movies. And I started noticing then, that's why I said it was a progression. Before I was ever divorced, I would realize that there would be some houses that were just wonderful. But the people, their inner spirit, their inner home was wonderful. And there were some people that nothing was ever right. The project just never was on point. And I started seeing a correlation between the internal home and the exterior home for which they lived. As I said, these were pieces like a puzzle. You know, a picture starts out as a wonderful, wonderful oil picture, acrylic, and through haphazardness of going through life, it gets torn apart and made into a puzzle. So I had pieces, but I didn't try to place them. So I had those pieces. Then I went through the divorce and the New Beginnings by design. It might have been a year later. I just started writing. Didn't know why, and I was writing something about each one of these 49, each one of these 7 sets of 7. And one day I looked, and I said, wow, this is becoming something. Now, I never, ever wanted to write a book. People that know my life would say, oh, you've lived such a wonderful life. You've been so many things. You were a professional singer. I used to do background work. I was a studio vocalist back in the day in New York. I went to Howard University on a full vocal scholarship. I was discovered by Oscar Brown Jr. and Les McCann because back then I could sight sing. So I've had a wonderful life, but I've never been the same thing. I've been in and out of different things. I've had many hats. And I'll never forget when I was an interior designer. During this time, when I was getting on my feet, I had the opportunity to be in a coffee table book in Barnes & Noble. And I said to the young lady, I said, well, why me? And she said, well, I want to ask you something. Your designs are so different. She said, what makes you think out the box? I said, that's interesting. I never saw a box. If you have a box, there are perimeters around your life. So with me, there's no in or out of the box. So all of this I'm writing. Didn't know why. And I'm writing all of these chapters, and all of a sudden it became New Beginnings by Design. And I realized that what I was supposed to do was redesign the lives of people using the same processes that I use to build, remodel, and redesign houses. It has the same makeup. I would go and I would talk to people, and I would say, why do you deserve a new beginning? They would all say the same thing. Well, you know, my life isn't the way it's supposed to be, but I had a good foundation. I said, that's why you'll never make it. It's the footers that hold up a house, not the foundation. The footers are what hold up the live and the dead load, which starts on the roof. The unexpected environmental factors of rain and snow and things that go in the house. That has to be calculated well. So it is not your foundation. Do you have good footers? So I'm writing this, and I'm going through life experiences. And then one day I met an unbelievable man, got remarried, doing wonderful, have a construction company, and within months he was diagnosed with inoperable cancer. This man was reading during chemo and after what I wrote, and he said, wow, this could just do so much. Are you procrastinating? I said, no, but for some reason, it's not time. Well, my husband ended up, after a year and a half, losing his battle with cancer. And it was 90 days after he passed that I woke up once again at 5:30 in the morning. And the spirit inside of me said, now. And what was put inside of me, the reason I could never come out with this series, because you cannot teach what you haven't experienced and what you don't know. I had experienced every single thing that I wrote about except the death of a loved one, a child, or a spouse. And to be able to transform people, you have to know what the processes are going to be. This is not just something that's motivation. I speak and people will say, wow, you're such a great motivational speaker. I said, no. Motivations for the moment. Transformations for a lifetime. And that is how that New Beginning by Design series that started with rising from the floor, because I am a woman that chose to rise up off of that floor, to be resilient, to learn, and to reinvent myself. I've reinvented myself so many times, I can't even tell you. Some good, from some good things, some things you're empowered, but so many people have never gotten up from that floor. And the floor doesn't have to be physical. The floor is anything that has drawn you to your deepest pit where you think there's no return. You can stand and have a new beginning. It's owed to you.
You know, I had this conversation with a family member of mine not too long ago about hearing the voice of God and how long you should wait, you know, trusting the process, or should you jump immediately, or should you wait for more assignment? Just hearing your story and just how the pages begin to write themselves throughout that duration. I do want to ask you, what do you believe is truly worth fighting for?
You know, it's interesting because when it comes to waiting on God, most people are impatient, no matter who your God may be, okay? Most people, we're in a generation of wanting it now or interpreting what we want to interpret, such as, I have talked to people and they'll say, God told me this, and God told me that. Then I'll see them 6 months later and they'll say, well, you know, God told me something else. I said, God don't work like that. You are saying what you want God to say. See, when God comes and puts anything in your spirit, there's confirmation. You don't have to do a thing. Things fall in place that you couldn't make happen. Things have fallen in place that there's no way I could have put this together. See, so the first thing a person has to do, you have to first learn the tools within yourself. What does that do? You will know the difference between your voice and God's. See, a lot of times people say what God told them based on what they want to hear, and then when he does tell you something, you don't answer. So, just like I told you, I didn't know what new beginning meant. I didn't know what by design. And this went through a process of years. As a matter of fact, this is a process of 15 years. I have at least 2 feet of pages that I wrote. I would just get up and I would write my spirit, and they're powerful. I think one of the most powerful isn't even in the book. And that chapter is something I'm going to be speaking on through summits. Are you foreclosed on? Everything that God will bring us through what we need to go through for where he wants us to be. It is no coincidence that I ended up being an interior designer, then the same principles of a general contractor, okay? I always knew that is not where I was going to be at the end. But God, who would have ever known that the things that I've learned and that I know, and I build houses and I do additions, I'm very known. And who would ever think that at the end, I would be able to now put people together internally, such as the chapter called Are You Foreclosed On? What that chapter and that module talks about is we were all born with a deed, just like a home. We were born with our deed. It wasn't mortgaged. It was given to you. But then you go through life giving people pieces of your deed. Oh, you look like a doctor. Oh, you look like a teacher. You start selling out equity out of your deed. And then one day, you get to a point that there's no equity within you. And you are foreclosed on. It's just like that house that sits on a street, boarded up. There was beauty at one time. But people will walk past it. So it's just like us internally. When you're foreclosed on, you don't know where to go. You don't know what you were. You're just tethered and torn. And I teach people how to remove those boards and find the good bones within you. Because you do have value. And you can get more equity. But this time, you build your house. You don't take what was given to you.
How do you know when you've been foreclosed on?
We all are purpose-driven, and so many of us lose our way, and people don't care. People care to say what's wrong versus help us lead what's right. And when I tell you I'm starting a movement, this is my purpose. I've always known what my purpose was supposed to be. I just didn't know at what time God would put me in a place that I needed to be. And God put me in this place after I learned the lessons I was supposed to learn. And that's what we have to learn in life. If you don't learn the things you're supposed to learn, that's why you keep reliving the same thing. If you have a child and you buy a tricycle, are you going to buy a 2-wheel when they can't still ride the tricycle? Same with God. He doesn't want us to fail. We all have a purpose, and we all can redesign ourselves. My entire life, I've always redesigned who I was based on me, not based on what people said I should be. So with this new beginnings by design, It's about teaching you to redesign yourself, reconstruct a new architectural life blueprint so that the rest of your life will become the best of your life.
For someone who's looking to start over, what advice would you give to someone, maybe looking to make a significant career change or start their entrepreneurial journey?
The advice that I would share is that people need to realize that you have to learn and be willing to put in the work. You have to invest in yourself. And a lot of times people will say, well, I don't need anybody. I don't need anyone to tell me. I know this and I know that, but that's why they keep reliving the same thing. So many people, the minute you bring out things within them that they don't want to hear, what's the first thing they say? Well, that's enough about that. Let's talk about this. No, we got to go back. Mm-hmm. I have to do demolition. See, I can't. If I came to your house and you asked me to rebuild your deck, you wouldn't think too much if I just started putting the wood on top. I got a demolition so that I can make it strong again. So what I would tell people is you must be able to invest in yourself, just like I have been going to Cape Town in Sun City, South Africa for 30 years. And now what I'm doing, I'm having transformation travel retreats to Cape Town, South Africa, and also to Sun City. Why South Africa? It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. Taking people where they can have workshops as well as take them to a place where a lot of life began. There is a place outside of Joburg called Cradle of Mankind. You will walk 2 hours into the earth. And when you come out, you know that Sadie and that whole heritage was real. It is amazing to go inside of the earth. And then I'm going to do a workshop that takes you inside of yourself. I have another workshop that's being held right outside of a diamond mine. And what I will show you is the correlation between how the pressures of the earth come together to press to make a piece of coal a diamond. Well, we are diamonds in the rough. And it is the pressures of the environmental, emotional, and financial hardships that will press you. But you have the chisel to make your own facets. What are facets? People have chiseled footprints and pressed a piece of coal so that it has brilliance. And so I believe that when you take people and you can let them travel and they can see through the world what is possible, to see things that are beautiful. I mean, South Africa is amazing. The vineyards. It's all about taking you outside of your commonplace and showing you how you can become uncommon.
I like that. Who or what has been your biggest source of inspiration throughout your transformative journey?
My biggest form of inspiration came at the end. And it was when I met my husband that's deceased now. And I did his eulogy. And I said, that man, he was a person that was just so inspirational. And he left so much inside of my spirit. And for everyone that looks for that person, everybody ultimately wants to love people and be loved. And how I describe him, he's the Prince Charming that every little girl dreams of, but most never find.
Why is that?
Because most ladies and gentlemen too, they don't know themselves. If you don't know yourself, it is very hard commingling with anyone, whether it's emotionally, psychologically, or verbally. So a lot of times people go through life, and I talk about this, looking for someone to mate them. I'm looking for someone to make me happy. I have a joke. If you've lived with your life all these years and you haven't figured it out, I'm not applying for the job. See, so the first thing you must do is know yourself. I talk about mindfulness. I talk about to thyself be true. Know who you really are. A lot of people can't be in successful relationships because they don't even know what they want. And if you don't know what you want, you will go through life saying that you're not satisfied, this isn't working out, everybody's the same. No, these people don't know each other. The common denominator is yourself. So when I met this wonderful man, he was just an unbelievable spirit, and so was I. We came together, and it was all about just how we added to each other. We weren't looking to take from each other in any way at all. This man, I'll give you an example. I tell people, and I said at his funeral, this is the man that I would wake up in the mornings, and my cup of coffee would be by my bed, and he would kiss me on my forehead and say, "Wake up, sunshine." This man would sit on the side of the bed after getting his cup. We would pray together, and then he would look in my eyes and tell me why he planned to love me more that day than the day before. That would inspire anyone. See, for you to be in a wonderful relationship with someone, both people must become selfless. That is when the good of someone else supersedes the good of yourself. Most people by nature are selfish. I don't want to be hurt. It's all about I. Instead, start saying, I don't want to be responsible for hurting someone else. See the difference? If you get rid of self, and it's all about transforming how you think. And the way you think, that's what you attract. So I've always been a person that's selfless. I've always grown to be more and more selfless. And I met someone who was just as selfless as I. So it's like if you had a cup and it had 8 ounces. If you got 6 ounces, I can't give you 4. So you can only take but so much. But when you have 2 people, even in a job situation, even in a partnership, you cannot be in a relationship of any kind where one person is giving more than the other. And when you're selfless, you don't even have to think about it because their needs supersede yours.
Good. Good. All right. In a world that's constantly changing, how do you maintain balance and peace, both personally and professionally?
Personally and professionally, I love music. Everybody has to find out what it is that brings you peace and balance. I started out in the music industry many years ago. So I'm a person that even when I was a child, if things were wrong, I'd go play the piano. Now, I'm away from playing the piano. I love wonderful chill. I love smooth jazz. And I always have music around me. Always. When I walk in my house, there's music. I sleep with music for me. Because there was something else I discovered during my divorce. The sound of silence is dangerous. What I mean, when I went through that divorce, and even when I was coming through it, it's something to walk into a house and know no one's going to be there and no one's ever going to come. So what I had to do is go to my safe space. My safe space is music. And I have had people that I have counseled, and I tell them, find something that you love in music. The reason is, you can have music and do other things. You can study, you can read. But if you watch television, you're sitting there. So many people live vicariously through that screen. What starts happening, they have loneliness inside of them, and they take a character. Oh, you remind me of so-and-so. You remind me of Erica Kane. What starts happening when people are listening and watching television? They start vicariously living where something that's not reality becomes reality. That is why we have so many dysfunctional relationships, whether they're in business, whether they're in families. There's a lot of dysfunction that people think is functional, and it's not. So for me, I choose beautiful music. When I was going through my divorce and I was sleeping on the floor, I had a playlist. Nelly, Let Your Haters Be Your Motivators. There were people just waiting for you to fall. Fly Like an Eagle with Mariah Carey. I had a list, and I would get up Striving by David Hollister. And I had this list, and bam, that jazz went off, and that music went on, and I was pumped. That's how I stay grounded.
When is the next retreat, or how can our listeners sign up to participate?
Okay, they can get the information online. My website is New Beginning Lifestyle Institute. And the reason it's New Beginning Lifestyle Institute is because, going back to the construction, have you ever had your room painted and you'll say, oh, now I need to replace the carpet? Oh, so I started thinking about it. I can give you tools, the internal, but there's something that happens once I saw people have an internal transformation. All of a sudden, they walk different, they dress. There's just a lot. So it's New Beginning Lifestyle Institute. The next transformational travel retreat to South Africa will be February of 25. You can even make monthly payments. There's one to Cape Town, one to Sun City. I usually tell people the first one that's magnificent is Cape Town, because I take you to Robben Island. You start learning about the resilience of Mandela and how resilience builds us, and how this man went in set to die and came out and ruled a whole country. And so there's just so much that we can learn. There's so much we have to stand on. So February 2025, New Beginning Lifestyle Institute. My phone number's up there. I'm the old generation. I love people to just pick up a phone and talk to me. Hey, what do you think about this? What would I get out the retreat? Everyone doesn't like just reading. I'm about that personal touch. That's why this is transformation. This is not click a button and somebody has a webinar, you never see them, and they're just making money. Just one person after another seeing a vision on a screen. That's not this.
Love it. Is the book also available at this website?
Yes, the book is available. You can go on that website, and it'll take you to the book as well. And the book is Rising from the Floor. So you can go to risingfromthefloor.com or New Beginning Lifestyle Institute. And that also has an area where you can click, and it'll take you to that website where the book is.
And is this for everybody, age, sex, creed?
This is for everyone, but I would say this. It's more for people who are over 25 who've been through stuff. If you haven't been through stuff, you can't learn anything because it's not believable. When things happen and they become real, then and only then are they believable. I talk about women, but I have men because people don't understand men have feelings. And I really feel for men, okay? Because people expect so much out of men emotionally. And it's the way society looks at men. So men hide a lot. They hide. I can actually say they're not lying on the floor. They're under the floor. Because nobody wants to believe that they're hurting. Nobody wants to believe that maybe they're stuck. Nobody wants to believe, and if they are, they've been taught, well, what's wrong with him?
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. So this is for everybody. Listeners, make sure you grab the links. I will have them in the description of this episode and in the show notes. There's a book. The institution's right there, and the retreat sounds amazing. February of 2025, is that correct, Stephanie V?
Yes, that is correct.
Right, all right. So as we bring this conversation to the end, a true architect of change and a master of new beginnings, Stephanie V, thank you so much for sharing your journey, your wisdom, and your unwavering spirit with us. To our listeners, we hope today's episode has inspired you to embrace the challenges, to see the beauty in transformation, and to design a life filled with purpose, passion, and peace. And remember, it's never too late for a new beginning, especially one by design. And until next time, keep dreaming, keep designing, and keep moving forward. Thank you so much, StephanieVHarvey.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up? Long time. I forgot to mention that. Oh, by the way, this is Deanie, Vigilantes Radio Live. VP of Operations for Busy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, Only One Theory dropped a new single. It is called La Jefecita. It's on Spotify. As a matter of fact, it's on all major platforms. You should check it out right now. Oh, and by the way, there's also a visual on YouTube. It's hot. Check it out today. onlyonetheory.com. Check that out too. Peace. Thank you, my Vigilantes family, as always, for checking out my podcast over here at Vigilantes Radio Live. All episodes are available for free download, and you can grab it from either Spreaker.com/Only One Media Group, Spotify, Castbox, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, the app Podcast Addict, or over at our website, which again is onlyonemediagroup.com. And that goes for every single show that we've ever aired. If you like to request some music or send something for me to play, email it to vradio@onlyonemediagroup.com. That is V as in Victor. And here's my disclaimer. We are genre free, we do not judge, and we absolutely do not base our opinions on hearsay but facts alone. And actually, scratch all of that, because all of my opinions are always right. That's the bottom line. This is my show, so deal with it. Just kidding. On behalf of myself, Denny, I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, either afterwards or live with us. Spread the word, because sharing is caring. We stepped up our game just for you guys and our guests to make sure that you have the best experience here on our show. Be sure to connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Snapchat, TikTok, and all social media sites, as well as Spreaker, YouTube. We always follow back. Okay, well, just remember to put yourself into everything that you do and never stop investing in yourself. Peace, love, grilled cheese, and talk with you later.
You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, the people's choice for quality interviews, art, music, and hot topics. hosted by Demetrius Houdini Black-Reynolds. Of the duo No Longer the Hero, all episodes of this podcast are available for free download at www.onlyonemediagroup.com. This is a Seventh Sign Regime Rebirth Worldwide Syndicate exclusive.
What's up, guys? It's Dini, and I want to welcome you on a journey of the heart and of the mind. These Fucking Feelings podcast is a beacon in the world of mental health advocacy, and it invites you to join a conversation that's changing lives. We are here to share, listen, and grow together. Led by the passionate Micah Bravery, alongside the insightful Rebecca and Crystal. This award-winning podcast dives deep into the human experience, from navigating relationships to coping with loss. No topic is off limits. It's about real stories and real emotions. These Fucking Feelings is more than just a show. It's a community, a place where vulnerable isn't just accepted, it's celebrated. You can find it across major platforms, including YouTube and Facebook Watch. This podcast is a touchstone for anyone seeking understanding and support. These Fucking Feelings podcast, where every emotion is valid and every story matters. Tune in and transform the way you see mental health.